This question comes from Maya, who asks, what would happen if you replaced all the water in the ocean with coffee? First, let's establish the scale of the problem. The world's oceans contain roughly 1.335 billion cubic kilometers of water. That is not a typo, 1.3 billion cubic kilometers. Now, coffee is mostly water, about 98.75% water in fact, so the density is close. A liter of brewed coffee weighs about 1.003 kilograms versus water's 1.000. The difference is tiny, but tiny differences multiplied by 1.335 billion cubic kilometers stop being tiny very fast. The first question is, where does the coffee come from? To brew that much coffee, you would need approximately 20 billion metric tons of ground coffee beans. The entire world currently produces about 10 million metric tons of coffee per year. So you would need roughly 2,000 years of global coffee production. Every single bean, every single harvest, every cup that was ever going to be drunk, gone into the ocean. Now let's talk about what happens after you pour it in. The ocean's ecosystems would collapse almost immediately. Not because of the caffeine, though yes, the ocean would contain enough caffeine to give every human on Earth a fatal overdose approximately 10,000 times over. The real problem is the acidity. Coffee has a pH of around 5. The ocean currently sits at about 8.1. Shifting the pH of 1.335 billion cubic kilometers of water by 3 full points would dissolve the calcium carbonate shells of virtually every marine organism on Earth within days. Coral reefs, mollusks, plankton, gone. But wait a minute, what about the smell? At sea level, you can detect coffee aroma at concentrations as low as a few parts per billion. The ocean surface area is 361 million square kilometers. The evaporation rate of the ocean surface produces roughly 430,000 cubic kilometers of water vapor per year. If even a fraction of that carried coffee aroma compounds, the entire planet's atmosphere would smell like a coffee shop within a few months. Every rainstorm would be a very weak, very sad Americano falling from the sky. On the other hand, what about the temperature? Coffee is brewed hot, but once distributed across that volume, the thermal contribution is negligible. The ocean's thermal mass is so enormous that even filling it with boiling coffee would raise global ocean temperatures by a fraction of a degree. The coffee would cool to ambient ocean temperature within days. The ocean would not become a giant hot drink. It would become a giant cold drink. Which brings us to the most important question Maya didn't ask. Could you drink it? Seawater is already too salty to drink. Coffee seawater would be too salty and too bitter. You could not drink it. No desalination process currently handles caffeine. Every coastal city that relies on ocean desalination for drinking water would be out of luck. So to summarize, 2,000 years of coffee production, the death of all ocean life, permanent atmospheric coffee smell, and not a single drinkable cup. I'm not sure that's what Maya had in mind.